High blood pressure, it doesn't have to be difficult. I know you've been through the frustrations of supplements that let you down. You've been at the doctor's office, you're prescribed medication, you've got all the side effects and all that sort of stuff. You think it's difficult, but it's not. My name is Scott Fleming. I'm the founder of Core 3 Vitality. I was a stage 2 hypertension sufferer. I now have very healthy blood pressure and I managed to do that in weeks. Let me take you through the process and show why we are completely different to anything else on the market. If I was to set a goal and say I want to create the best and most effective natural blood pressure support product on the market, how would I go about doing that? Well, as a chartered engineer, process is everything for me. So let me walk you through the process that I've actually been through and how we developed the world's best natural blood pressure support product on the market. First thing I do is I've got to bring in the experts. So I've done that. I got the US top PhD biosciences experts as a team to come and help us on this project. Next, I define the goal. I want the world's best natural blood pressure support product, bar nothing. It has to be the best. Okay, there's a goal, but it's pretty vague. Can we make it more specific? So let's make it more specific. I want it to maximize nitric oxide production, which is the vasodilator which opens up the vessels. I want it to reduce vascular inflammation, and I want it to replenish all of the cardio-critical minerals. So this is what I want to do. Okay, that's a good goal. So the next step is pathways. What are pathways? Well, the biosciences team taught us all about pathways. Pathways means in order to achieve your goal, there's different pathways, routes you can go down in order to achieve that. So as an engineer, the first question is, hold on, how many pathways is there? Well, there happens to be 4. Let me explain. So there's the ENOS, that's your vascular endothelium. That's where you produce nitric oxide from within your body that deteriorates with age. There's the nitrate-nitrite pathway. That's a nitric oxide that you would get through your mouth through consuming nitrates, and your body converts it into nitric oxide. There's the antioxidant pathway. This is like the little Pac-Man that will come and eat up all of your nitric oxide. You don't want that, so you're getting rid of all of the reactive oxygen species, free radicals and stuff like that. Antioxidant pathway is super important. And then, 80% plus of the US adult population are deficient in cardio-critical minerals, magnesium, potassium and stuff like that. So that's another pathway that could support in achieving the goal. Okay, so now I understand I have the 4 pathways. Now what? Well, if you're going to be a real company, and you're not going to be one of them gimmicks and you're going to do it from a scientific foundation, the first thing you want to be doing is looking at human, not animals and everything else, human clinical studies. And you want to have a look at what is the best ingredients and the dosages required to achieve the outcome. In our case, like we say, is increase nitric oxide, reduce vascular inflammation, replenish cardio-critical minerals. So that's what you do. You have a look at the human clinical studies, and they will show what the verified outputs were. So whether it reduced, the systolic and diastolic blood pressure, whether it improved arterial elasticity or whatever it is. And then what you would do is, if you're an engineer like me, what you would do is you would say, hold on, if I've got all of the best ingredients and the right dosages, which is clinically backed for that pathway number 1, what should I do for the other pathways that do exactly the same? But as an engineer, I said I want the best on the market, so what should I do next? Well, next, you would do all 4 pathways, add them all together, and that's one comprehensive product. Do you stop there? Ho, heck no. What about if we could make it so instead of a chore, it was a ritual that you'd actually enjoy? You see what Athletic AG1, Athletic Greens has done for all of the healthy green juicing and all this sort of stuff, the powder, the once a day powder. What happens if we could make a similar sort of product for heart health, How would we go about doing that? Well, again, our R&D team We want to make it delicious, so we put in real cocoa, 70%. We put in coconut derived MCT, so this is, yeah, in addition, antioxidants, energy, and then the R&D, you know the clever parts that they do to hide the bitter nitrate taste and stuff like that, to make it absolutely delicious. Do we stop there? Oh, heck no. So we want it to be super versatile. We want it so people can enjoy it with water, with milk, with smoothies, with yogurt, even ice cream. Or if you're like me, you know, you like a cold brew now and again, so cold coffee, you know. So wow, you make it super versatile. Do you stop there? Oh, heck no. You know, the feedback we get from the customers, the clinical studies guarantee, say it's going to work and everything else. But with a performance product where you're talking about an individual and their lifestyle factors are all different, will it work for everyone? Well, it works for, you know, the feedback we get, 70% of the people. What about them 30%? Well, when we look under the hood, what we find is that they've all got unique issues. For example, they could be highly stressed. You know, you've heard of white coat syndrome. You go to the doctors, all of your vessels tighten up because you're anxious and your blood pressure shoots up. That's not going to be good. You might drink too much alcohol, you smoke, you're not getting enough sleep and all this type of stuff. So in other words, lifestyle factors can affect that. So what do? Well, as we're engineers, we want to make it a fully comprehensive solution, you know, a heart health solution. So we created the online BP reset program. This is 12 hours. You know, it covers everything to do with lifestyle. It covers all prescribed medications, all of the core 7 lifestyle factors. You get meal plans. It's got quizzes. It's everything. It's fantastic. So this helps people, you know, that 30% who need that little extra help. Do we stop there? Oh, heck no. So what do? We create a blood pressure community group. So if you look up elevated blood pressure support, you'll find that we manage a Facebook community group, which is 62,000 members strong. Why do we do that? Well, you know, let's say we helped another 20% or so we get to 90% now, and there's still 10% weren't quite getting the results they wanted. Well, what was happening there? Well, it's like the January blues, you know, the 1st of January, everybody's going to smash up the gym, and by 1st of February, it's all finished, it's stopped, you know. So, in other words, people need a safe space, a private space, a spam-free space where they can ask questions, get support, get encouragement, and to be able to share their wins and everything else. So this is it. This is the Core 3. This is what we have. The Core 3 is the best product in the world for natural blood pressure support. I would claim that it's the best blood pressure training program in the world, which you get free with the product. And I would also claim that we have the best, largest, fastest growing and most engaged spam-free community group in the world for blood pressure. Those 3 things together make the Core 3. Now what I would encourage you to do now is to click on the link for this ad, go halfway down the page, look at the clinical study section, and as I like to say all the time, don't take my word for it. Look at what the science says. Read for yourself. You take a look at those human clinical studies, have a look at the results that were achieved. All I'm saying is I've identified each of the 4 pathways, I've identified all of the human clinical studies, and have added them all together to make the best product in the world, along with a free training program that you get with it and a free community group that you get to join and everything else. It's really, really unmatched. I'm looking forward to feedback after you've had a look at the clinical study section. Thank you very much. Cheers now. Bye-bye.